everyone, I'm Yuki.
I'm Alvin.
And today we are going to talk a story. 400 years before, there was a great scientist whose name is Galileo, and he made an experiment on the Pisa Tower. He used two iron balls which had different masses, and he dropped them at the same height on this tower. And finally, the two balls, they reached the floor at the same time.
Alright, according to the free law, G equals to 1/2 gt squared. 2h equals gt squared, and we solve for t. T equals square root of 2h over g, and g is a constant, equals to 9.8 meters per second squared. So we can see that only the height matters the time when the subject falls on the ground. Alright, today we're going to do the same similar experiment.
Firstly, we are going to use one light piece of paper and a heavy book. We set them at the same height and then drop them at the same time. Obviously, the heavy book reached the floor at first. And for the second experiment, we reset the piece of paper under the heavy book. Let's do the same thing again. They dropped at the same time. So finally, we put the piece of paper on the top of the heavy book. Let's guess what will happen later. The book and the piece of paper, they reach the floor on the same time.
Alright, we also think why this equation doesn't work at the first situation. We set them at the same height, but why the time is different? Well, because the air resistant. Because of the air resistance, we know that the paper is much lighter than the book. Therefore, the air resistance will affect the paper apparent than the book. So, yeah. So that's why they drop at different times.
And for the second experiment, we put the paper under the heavy book, so we can just consider them as one object. Meantime, the air resistance to the paper is much less than the first experiment.
Alright, it is similar in the third situation. Although we put the paper at the top of the book, it is still considered as one subject. Therefore, it still drops on the ground at the same time.
And we can see that this equation doesn't really work well in our first experiment. It just proves that in our real life, there are so many factors can affect our final result, such as the air resistance.
Alright. If we try to avoid the air resistance in number 2 and 3, we can also say that this equation is correct.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. If we try to avoid the air resistance and other facts, such as number 2 and 3, such as these two situations, we can also find this equation is right.
So,
Thanks for
watching.
watching.
不用 thanks 吗？不用吧？
Thanks for watching 要写吗？
要吗？
我也不知道。
你们有吗？
没有。
就 thank you 就行了。
哦。
Thank you。
Thank you.
好了，高先生。